Vision is seeing things that other people may not see. And the way that we realize our visions, the way that we make our visions become reality, is by sharing them in the hopes that then others will see what you see and will be able to help you to make them a reality. I want to share with you a vision that I have, a vision of healthcare that is so important, I believe to be so important, because there is nothing more important than our health. So I'm hoping to share with you my vision today so that you will see what I see, and then you will be able to help me to make my vision a reality. I'm a pharmacist, but I'm probably not what you think. I have worked across the continuum of care across the province. I have worked from New Liskeard, Ontario, which is on the other side of the map of Ontario, down to Windsor. And in this geography, I've worked in hospitals, community pharmacies. I've worked at a community pharmacy in a hospital. I've worked from my basement with telepharmacy. Through this work, over a very diverse experience, I've come to realize that we have an incredible problem. It is really hard to keep a list of medications. If you've ever taken a medication, or if you have ever worked in healthcare, you will realize that it is really hard to keep track of your medications. It seems that we've come in this society to think of lists of medications as trivial pieces of paper that contain words that we can't even pronounce, and we stick them in our pocket and hope that when we go to our specialist appointment that we waited for 3 years, we didn't forget it. Because when you get there, if you didn't bring it, oh, well, we'll have to book you another appointment because without your medication list, I can't help you. In all reality, medication lists are really the crux of your health story. Medication lists are those things that really identify what you have experienced in the healthcare, and when it comes at a point that you need that medication list, it is your story. You see, medication lists represent all of that hard work that went into being prescribed a medication, which involved appointments, tests, diagnoses by incredibly intelligent, some of the most intelligent people in our society. And if they diagnose you and prescribe a medication to help you with your health, but you can't keep track of that list, how are you ever going to tell that story to make that story have worth so that we can continue to treat you better and help you on a way to more health? And so my vision is this. As a pharmacist who cares so passionately for some weird reason from somewhere deep inside me, some people call it type A, other people call it driven. I am on a personal mission to make medication management easy for everybody in Canada. I want every Canadian, in fact, my dream is for every Canadian patient who enters our healthcare system, my dream is that they will have a medication list attached to them in some way, shape, or form. I don't know what that looks like. That is accessible to anybody on the healthcare team at any time and contains only medications. They reflect only medications that have been determined to be absolutely appropriate for you and necessary. So this vision seems like, don't you think, like, isn't that how it should be, right? It seems kind of pretty simple to me, but it is not simple. And if it was simple, I wouldn't be here pleading with you to please try to see what I'm saying here. What I see that I think other people don't see is that we are missing a really important person in that picture. And that person is your pharmacist. I think pharmacists, if we're able to realize their true value and true potential within our system, and we're able to recognize them, that they are a group of people that have the potential to transform healthcare as we know it in Canada. I really, really believe this, and let me explain why. You see, pharmacists, I know this from personal experience with a lot of student debt, go to school for a long time, at least 6 years, minimum, 6 years university to become medication experts. And I don't think any of you would disagree. You know that. You know that your pharmacists, they know it. They have a ton of knowledge. What you might not know is that pharmacists go to school and are trained to bring that knowledge to life through what we call a professional service of pharmaceutical care. So they're trained professionals with knowledge that are trained to bring this knowledge to practice in a very systematic way with the ultimate goal of gaining full responsibility for the outcomes of your medications. That's what they're trained for. How many of you know a pharmacist? I would think every single one of us has interacted with a pharmacist in some way, shape, or form. And I know that you value your pharmacist. That is not without question. Pharmacists are out there. They are the most accessible and trustworthy professionals. But that pharmacist, if you picture them, I think you picture 4 walls and a counter and a bottle of pills. And what I want you to know is that pharmacists are so much more than a bottle of pills and 4 walls. Pharmacists do not go to school to work in pharmacies and dispense and count medications. In fact, we have regulated pharmacy technicians who are schooled for that. They go to college to learn how to be the experts in that. I am terrible at counting. I am. I'm not very good at math. But I do, anyways. So pharmacists do not go to school to count pills or to work in a pharmacy. They go to school to provide a professional service, which is pharmaceutical care, which ultimately is to help manage medications at a very broad level. I can tell you that aside from the rare exception, this is not happening. And it's not happening because our government has evolved and has naturally evolved to nobody's fault that they still recognize pharmacists for their traditional role of the role we once held, which was to prepare and dispense the medications. And so resources are allocated within our system that reward the pill bottles and the pharmacies and are missing the reward for the professional service. It's like paying for stethoscopes and not the doctor. But there's good news because we are trying our hardest and things are going okay. But if we want them to change, we need to start looking at the invisible. And this is why I care so passionately about what I'm saying with you, because what I talked about having a pharmacist manage medications outside of our pharmacy, it is happening. It happens every day. Hospital pharmacists operate in this way, and they have shown to have incredible outcomes by operating with patients at the bedside as a team member. And they are rewarded. They are rewarded outside of the actual pill. Pharmacists in primary care centers also are rewarded in this way. For myself, example, I work at a doctor's office in town, and I am paid to help manage medications. And what I do is spend my day doing home visits, where I go and I'm able to spend time helping people manage their medications within their home. I'm just a tiny little representation of other centers like me who are able to get out of the walls of the pharmacy. So my point is that I see a problem and I can see the way that we need to get to where I think we need to go, which is in a system with streamlined and accessible medication lists that reflect medications that are only necessary and appropriate for you. And I don't know how we're going to get there, but I hope that by telling you and allowing you to see that there is this type of practice that's working, that it is no longer invisible, and now you all know and you can see that it is working, and we need to find ways together in how we can bring that to a broader picture so that every Canadian can have that accessible and accurate medication list. Thank you.